In Rig Veda, they have clearly stated, and if I'm able to pronounce it correctly, it said, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, which means that there is only one truth and wise call it by multiple names. It's clearly written out there. Namaste. My name is Bidhan. 2012 is when I chanced upon Upanishads, and it had a profound impact on my life. Since then, I have dreamt to bring the key aspects of Upanishads in a manner which is simple, relatable, and implementable in our daily lives. So here we are with a set of videos to make spirituality simple.
Hi Bidhan.
Hello.
Hi. So I just want to, before we even start off, I just want to say it's been a good journey. It's been a great journey of reflection about spirituality, about religion. And I feel like I'm able to integrate it somewhere or the other.
That's wonderful. And thank you to all the viewers for all your wonderful comments and also mentioning what spirituality means to you. And having posted a lot of questions that you want to be answered in your Q&A session, please keep on writing to us and we will ensure that we answer most of the questions that you are posting in the comments below. So great, Preeti. Great to know that you have been able to integrate both of them together.
Right. So our last conversation, I remember clearly that we left it at this point where if in fact you're talking about oneness, and that's what we've been talking about also, why are there so many gods and goddesses?
Great question. And let's try to make it a little simple. All right.
Yes.
So we will again have a conversation. So Preeti, how does your friends call you?
How do my friends call me?
Yeah.
Pri.
How does your son call you?
Amma.
Your colleagues?
Okay. Ma'am, some of them. Yeah.
So everybody calls you by different names. Same Preeti, isn't it? And not only they call you by different names, each one of has a different emotional connect with you. Each one of them will have a different need from you. If someone asks me about Preeti, I know Preeti the host.
Right.
So do you see that same Preeti, multiple people having multiple points of view, multiple relationships and multiple needs from you?
Right. So basically you're saying it's the same me, but the needs and perceptions are changing depending on the person and situation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So in the similar manner, our Vedic culture is not polytheist, which means that it does not have multiple gods and goddesses with distinctive powers in existence. It is rather pluralist, which means that there are multiple expressions of the same essence. Now you will ask me, why do we have multiple expressions of the same essence?
Exactly. It's almost like you read my mind.
You are becoming too predictive, but nonetheless, let me help you answer your own question, right? So tell me, why do we have multiple expression of the same essence?
You're asking me? How am I supposed to answer that?
Okay, you are a teacher.
Right. Okay.
Tell me, what are the different methodologies of teaching?
Oh, okay. There are different methodologies like traditional schooling. We have Montessori, multiple intelligence, Reggio. I think there are a lot of different types of schooling pedagogies, and depending on, because each child is different, right?
Wonderful. Ultimately, you will teach the child the same mathematics, the same English. Then why do you have multiple ways of teaching them?
Because each child is different and not every method will work for every child.
You are answering your own question, that every individual is different. Every individual has a different temperament,
right?
Has a different evolution. So you cannot have the same process defined for every individual to move in the spiritual evolution. And therefore, there is no harm in having multiple approaches to the same truth.
Right.
So let me bring about a practical example to you. So in the last episode, I think we spoke about Om, and how deeply I was moved by Shankara's commentary on how Om is the primordial sound from which the entire universe came out. It moved me. And when I explained the same concept to my friend, he could not relate to it But what he did was, he kept a murti of Shiva. For him, Om is Shiva, and he meditates upon and chants Om on a daily basis.
Right.
So while I love the explanation and the expanse of Om, he loved creating a structure around Om and work around it. So both the views are absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So for me, Om is Nirakara. For him, Om has a akar.
Roop.
It has a roop, right? So while we can say that Brahman is Nirguna and Nirakara, Ishvara is nothing but Brahman with names and forms.
Oh, okay. So, do you mean to say that Nirguna Brahman, who you just said, Nirguna Brahman is superior to the gods with names and forms? Is that what you're saying?
Not at all. Absolutely not. Because as soon as I say that this is superior to this, I am trying to say that my manifestation of God is better than your manifestation of God. It doesn't make sense. It is just feeding your ego, saying that my truth is better than your truth. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
Ultimately, what works for you? For you, a name and a form makes sense. For me, the formless makes sense.
Right.
It works upon each one of us. But ultimately, all of us are moving to the same place. Just like you said that there are multiple ways of education, whether it's a Montessori, a traditional, and a couple of ways, and they are all finally integrating to the same place.
Right.
Is the same theory here, and that kind of answers you that why do we have so many god and goddesses.
So, is there any reference of what you just spoke about in the Vedas?
Of course. Which is our oldest Veda?
I want to say Rig Veda.
You're right.
Okay.
In Rig Veda, they have clearly stated, and if I'm able to pronounce it correctly, it said Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, which means that there is only one truth and wise call it by multiple names. There is only one truth and wise call it by multiple names. It's clearly written out there, right? So let us see it from a slightly different aspect. How do you feel when you look at our national flag?
Oh, a sense of patriotism and maybe like pride to be an Indian.
You feel good,
Yeah.
right? Is our flag India?
Yes. I mean, okay, no. It is a representation of India.
Perfect. So if you look at India, India is diverse, right? It has multiple cultures, the demographics, the ideas. It's huge. But if you were to conceptualize India, it's very difficult to make sense of what India is all about.
Yeah.
But once you represent India as a flag, there is an emotional connect with the flag. Even though flag is not India, it is representation of the concept of India, and you feel emotionally connected with the flag. And can you build any relationship without emotional connection?
Can you build a relationship without emotion? No. I suppose that is needed.
That's required. Any relationship requires certain amount of emotional connect. I see my mother during this Hara time, when she is basically praying the Devi.
Right.
She gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning. She will not eat, she will not drink, and she's full of energy. I really don't know where that energy comes from. It's because of her emotional connect with the Devi, right? Similarly, when you look at the flag, you feel emotionally connected with India. So the murtis, the ideas of various gods and goddesses, which talks about a specific aspect of that infinite, helps us to build that emotional connect.
That personalization feeling.
The personalization feeling. And that's amazing. And that helps us in spiritual evolution as well. But at the same time, I feel the understanding also makes the concept much more deeper. It basically makes you connect at a slightly more deeper level and makes things look real. It no longer remains at the level of faith, but understanding makes it real for you and me.
Right.
So having an emotional connect and also having an understanding is a potent combination to have.
Wow. Okay. So you're saying, again, an old example you have given, right? So essentially, if we have clay and we have various pots made out of the clay, you're saying it's okay if I'm worshipping the pot or the clay, because essentially they're all one and the same.
Exactly. Whether you are looking at Nirguna Brahman or Saguna Ishvara, it's fine. Ultimately, we are on the path of realizing that. So, very interesting example is that I see is from Bhagavad Gita. So, when Arjuna is not interested to fight or he's unable to fight, and that's in the chapter Arjuna Vishada, then Shri Krishna basically talks to Arjuna about a very different reality. He talks about the concept of Atman, Brahman, that you are not killing anyone, nobody is getting killed. But soon Shri Krishna realizes that concept is not helping Arjuna to act. And then he slowly moves from that Sankhya Yoga, that the concept of Brahman and Atman, to Karma Yoga, where he basically says Arjuna that this is your karma, do it. So for all you know, Arjuna was not prepared for Sankhya Yoga, for the understanding of Brahman and consciousness. He was at that point of time, what was required by Arjuna at that point of time was the concept of Karma Yoga.
Right.
And that pushed him to move ahead with his actions. So both of them are equally valid, and Shri Krishna talks about all the paths in Srimad Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, so I get that. I understand that you're talking about how Shri Krishna realized that the path of knowledge, the path of, renunciation was not for Arjuna at that point of time. And so he guided him towards Karma Yoga.
Correct.
So I get that part. But what I would like to ask is, where is my Shri Krishna? Like, who's going to tell me where I stand?
I didn't understand.
Okay, fine. Let me just see if I can put it in a different way. I understand and I get that God is everywhere and everything I see around me is an expression of God, right? And I actually, when I'm in a peaceful state of mind, I'm also able to relate to the feeling of oneness that we speak about. But then, of course, reality sets in. And then I see the news. I see news about abuse or suicide, murder, mass genocide. There's so much, seems to be so much pain around us. Why?
You're asking me the most difficult questions which has been asked by people, and saying and asking that if we are pervaded by all compassionate God, then why there is so much of pain?
Yeah.
That's a very complicated and a difficult topic to deal with. Let us pick it up in our next session.
Next session for sure. It is quite a heavy, something that's been weighing on my mind, I think. So I'm looking forward to that.
It does. I mean, and that's a very valid question to ask, that if God is all powerful, if God is all pervading, then why does the God even allow so much of pain and suffering?
Right. We will take it up. I will definitely bring it up. But for today, I think it has definitely put some ideas of why we have multiple gods and goddesses. I think we first spoke about saying that they're just different representations of one reality, right? I think that's one point that I took away. And then also about how each of us are at different levels. Each of us are in different stages of evolution. Each of us are ready for different things. So we have different representations regarding that. And of course, you mentioned the emotional connect, right? I think that is one point that really stuck with me, and also sort of gives me, I'm more aware and more accepting of everyone else's representation of their God, of their religion, because of that emotional connect. And I think the last point you mentioned was also excellent, where you said it's not just the emotional connect. When an understanding of it comes with the emotional connect, then that makes it more solid, more real.
Yes.
That's what you had mentioned.
And it becomes unshakable for you.
Yes. Yeah, the emotional connect coupled with the understanding.
Understanding makes it completely unshakable for you.
Perfect. I mean, I think it has really answered my question. So thank you. Thank you so much, Vedanta.
Thank you, Preeti. To our viewers, what do you say? Why is there so much of pain and suffering in spite of a compassionate, all powerful, all pervading God? Please mention it in the comments below.
And do like, share, and subscribe to this video channel. And do leave your valuable comments below. Thank you.